It feels truly wild that we are at the end of October and we are already looking into November, but here we are. Hi, my name is Becky, and this is Homeschooling with Twins. I have twin 6-year-old girls who are in first grade, and we are homeschooling in a secular and eclectic way. I also have 2 older kiddos who are in high school, and they've been public school the whole way. So I have the perspective of being a homeschool mom and a public school mom, and letting you know kind of my journey into this whole wonderful world of homeschooling. And believe it or not, y'all, we are already through October. It is the last week of October right now. We are into our Halloween week of schooling. And I thought it would be a good time to go ahead and give you an update. While the kids were out and getting a pumpkin with their dad, we totally forgot to go buy pumpkins until the last week of October. So they're running and grabbing one. We are into our last week of October. I wanted to go ahead and do our wrap up so that I didn't get lost in the shuffle of things that are happening, some changes we might be making, but just kind of an affirmation that this was a really solid month. I don't know about everybody else, but for me, October has gone really well. We have found our groove, and mentally, I think I finally wrapped my head around the fact that we are only a 3-day-a-week homeschool. Last year, we did 4 days a week, and most of the curriculums and people doing reviews, they're there 4 days a week, and we aren't. We choose to do 1 entire day of nature school and 1 entire day of co-op, basically. And so that means we only have 3 days of tabletop style schooling, and that is just going to lead to some different priorities and capacities. And I'm actually really okay with that. We're trading some traditional academics for the experience of nature school, and we're trading some traditional academics for co-op, which is all enrichment based, and it is giving us life, it is giving us joy, and it is not putting us behind. So that is a win. So that update as far as our farm park school and our co-op have been number one, so great, 100% will do again. So those have gone really, really well. In October, we finished up our co-op first 6 weeks. And so the girls were doing a program where they were doing a whole study on like wild nature. And it was mostly a look at like weather and reading picture books and then doing art inspired by those things. And that was really cool. And then they also did building fairy houses as one of their enrichment like classes. And that also finished up and they loved it. It was a delight. So those went really well. And then we started last week. So like the 3rd week of October or the 4th, I think we have 5 weeks this month. So like the 4th week of October, last week for me, they started their new rotation of 6-week enrichment courses, and they're doing cooking, and they made pizza, and they had homemade dough that was prepared for them. And then they had to roll it out and put all the toppings on. And then the teens who were teaching the class actually baked it, and they got to eat it for lunch. So it was really cool. They were super excited about it. And then they're doing awesome animals with the same teacher they already had, which is great. And it again is doing like reading a picture book and learning facts about an animal, and then doing a physical activity that kind of gets you into the like zone of the animal, and then doing a piece of art. So they are loving it. It's a great enrichment. They're having a good time. I'm having a good time. It's a delight. So co-op's going great. Nature school is going great. No complaints. As far as our academic wins, we've had a lot of successes. So for our math, things are trucking along. We haven't made any changes since the last video. We are still doing 3 days a week of math with confidence. And basically we're doing 1 or 2 of the short warm-ups as she assigns. We're doing the entire lesson, the original lesson, the teaching lesson as she assigns. And then 1 day a week, we're doing one of the kind of activities and or games that she recommends. That is what's allowing us to stay at about a 15-minute lesson per day. And that's about where our attention span is. Beyond about 15 minutes, we get lost. Now, I would say on average, about half of the days we do the worksheet as it's assigned for that day, and the other half we save it and then we use it as a warm-up. Or if we have a day where it looks like they really know the material, but I want to just test them to make sure they really understand the material, we'll do 2 worksheets in a day as our lesson. And that just adds some variety. Frankly, it just is, if you were all worksheet based, you'd want to bring in manipulative sometime for variety. And since we're so manipulative based, once every, other week, every 3rd week, we're doing a worksheet day, and that just lets them practice and have that variety. It works really well. So we're keeping up with it. I'm listening to you tell me that I need to do the linear math, even though I like the stacking math. I'm trusting your wisdom. So we're just trucking along with Math with Confidence. We're bringing in Life of Fred, just a supplementary. We've only been doing it like once a week for the last couple of weeks because we've been busy, but it's been going great. And no complaints, no changes, everything's groovy. Additionally, we've had another win, something that I am super excited about. We finished All About Reading Level 1, and we have now moved on to All About Reading Level 2. This is an older copy, so when I got Level 1, I bought, I think, a recently used teacher manual and then a brand new student guide, and then I bought the books used online. I bought this package used from a homeschool mom, and this package is like 5 or 6 years old, but it's fine. We have already started this with the first lesson about open and closed syllables. They finished All About Reading Level 1 about a week ago. And then we spent a whole week just reading, just practicing our reading, reinforcing the reading, making sure they felt confident with the concepts we already know. And we've already done the first lesson, and we're going to continue the rest of this week and really the whole rest of the year with All About Reading Level 2. I anticipate that we'll get to at least like lesson 40 in this. There are 53, I believe. My goal was to get into the 40s. I don't think we're going to actually finish all of this just because we didn't start until November, basically, the last week of October, but that's okay with me. We are going to just go at their pace. The goal for me is full understanding and comprehension, not speed. So because that's my goal, it's okay if we don't finish this year. The goal is to try to finish, get as close to finishing as we can. I'd like for them to be somewhere in the 40s by the time we finish for the school year in June. And then next year we'll just pick it up. So we're on to our next book. And we are this week going to be going and getting a celebratory scoop of ice cream, picking out a celebration book as a reward for finishing this whole level 1. And then just celebrating that we've achieved something. So super good, no complaints, everything's groovy. We also finished our human body unit, and it ended up being 4 full weeks because we had our little people. These are some of the things they haven't finished, but most of it they did finish. So let me show you kind of our working notebook. Ooh, here we go. Here we go is our working notebook. So from the digestive system, muscular, skeletal, another digestive system, germs, and the respiratory system. And then we have some things we haven't finished coloring and cutting out that are on the table. Oh, is this a heart? Oh, yes, the heart she didn't glue in. So here's the heart that didn't get glued into this kiddo's notebook. That is the goal for this week, is to get these glued in because we are moving right on into our next unit study. But we really did enjoy our human body unit, these little people that we cut out and colored as I went through and we did a study of most of the major human body systems. We did not do reproductive, lymph, or urinary tract. We just decided to skip those. We did all the other ones, so circulatory, nervous, respiratory, digestive, skeletal, muscular, and then we looked at the brain and we did the 5 senses. So and then we did germs. We did an understanding of germs, both good, kind of germs and bacteria versus bad germs and bacteria, and how our body has both, and the bad guys need to get out and all that good stuff. It was great. We loved it. It was supposed to be 3 weeks. We did 4, in part because we went to the beach. So that kind of, I forgot we were going to the beach, and that knocked out 2 days. We missed co-op one day and we missed a Monday. And so we just decided, instead of starting a new unit on a Tuesday when we only had the 2 days and we still had things we wanted to cover from our human body unit, that we just did a 4th week. So we did 4 weeks of notebooking and reading about the human body. It went really, really well. And that was super fun. We are now moving into our unit on Mesopotamia, which I am apprehensive about because I could not find a lot of great resources and I didn't want to buy a lot of resources, and everything I've seen is really designed for a later elementary, middle school age. I haven't been able to find a lot of good stuff. So we are going to do it, but we're going to do it a lot more simply. And my goal really is just 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. We are going to start kind of a look at Mesopotamia and revisiting Mesopotamia during our unit study time. We are not going to be reading them as our read alouds. We're not going to be reading all the myths the way that we did with Egypt. We are going to be reading Gilgamesh the King, and we're going to talk about how Mesopotamia had multiple civilizations. So the Assyrians in particular and the Babylonians. We're going to just sort of talk about those two groups. I have some somewhat childish books for that. And that is going to be it. Like, we're not going to spend as much time as I might if they were a little bit older, because all the resources available to me are really geared towards 10, 11, 12 and up, like that older, more mature group. I don't have anything at my library, and I don't want to buy a bunch of picture books. I've already purchased the Epic of Gilgamesh. So that's really what we're going to do. We're kind of going to do a Hygge week. Like, we're just going to do the Epic of Gilgamesh and talk about Mesopotamia as it relates to the Epic of Gilgamesh, and not spend a lot of time there. In part because I really want to give plenty of time to Greece. We're going to do Greece this fall or this winter. We're going to hopefully start it in mid-November, carry it through December. And if we need to, we'll do some in January. Like, it is so important to me that we have a good foundational understanding of ancient Greece and Greek myths. And one of the ways that we are going to do that is sometime in November, we're going to switch our inspiration reads from Bible and an Inspiring Woman to Bible and Myth. And I haven't decided if we're going to use the Delayers or if we're going to get a different curriculum, but that is one of the things that we are going to do going forward, because Greek myths are so foundational. Like, if you just think about influence for our society and our world, Greek myths are just everywhere. So that's some stuff to see coming down the pike. And if I make any big changes and change from our unit study approach or change how I think I'm going to do things, I will let you know. But the plan right now, we are going to do Mesopotamia for the last week of October and the first one, maybe 2 weeks of November, and just do a very nice light touch with that. And then we're going to move right into Greece, and we'll do Greece through the end of the year. And if we don't finish everything I think we need to for Greece, we're going to just hop and do it into January. So I'm excited about that. I have some different thoughts on our history streams, but I think it will be really good for us to do kind of a look at Greece, a read of the myths, and maybe one additional read aloud. That's kind of my plan, is like, where is Greece? What is some big picture facts? And then read a lot of the myths. And part of that is because we are listening to Story of the World out loud on audio as one of the things that we listen to in the car. One of my kids loves it. One of my kids hates it. I enjoy it. So we have made a deal that it can be what we listen to either one way for a drive, like it can be what we listen to on our way to something or on our way back, but we're not going to do more than that. But that's still 25 minutes a week of Story of the World. That's like a chapter or two. So we're getting through that. It's exposing us. It's interesting. The girls love the stories. They love listening to it once it starts. One of my girls, the girl who doesn't like it, just doesn't like the beginning. But once it goes, she'll be like, hanging on the words. She wants to know what happens. So we're using that as a spine, even though it's not matching up perfectly with where our unit studies are. And when that's done, which we will probably finish by the end of the year, this year, the end of the calendar year, I'm not sure what we will do next. Also, with read alouds, we did complete 2 read aloud novels this month. So we read Meet Felicity, and this was per the request of my girls, which was totally fine. We read this last year, but they wanted to read it again. It was The Girl with the Shower Cap. And then we read the second one, Felicity Learns a Lesson, and we just finished this. So these were our 2 read alouds for the month. Not as much as we normally read, but it worked for us, and we enjoyed them. The girls really, really liked this. In fact, there was a question about whether or not we would just read all the Felicity books, but I suggested that we get a little variety, either reading through the different American girls or read some different things. So what my initial plan was for read alouds was to, in November, move into the biography of Sacagawea and then the first Thanksgiving. And then I wanted to check out another book that would give us an alternative view of Thanksgiving, just to have sort of Native American, learning about Indigenous Americans in November, since it's Indigenous Americans Month. However, we might change that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, finding our read aloud groove has been a challenge. It has not gone super well for us. We have been doing a lot of like comfort reads on audiobook we found a lot of the Magic Tree House on Libby. So we've been listening to those. We've been listening to Dragon Masters. We've been listening to a lot of the books we already have. Really, it's been Magic Tree House. Books we've already read, but we're listening to again because we've read every single Magic Tree House there is. And we love them. and we've been relying on them as comfort reads because Despero just kicked our butts. It was so good, but it was so long that I'm looking for something more manageable. If you have ideas, let me know. Y'all, I feel like this video is super scattered because I'm trying to film it while the kids are out picking up pumpkins and before they come back and we carve pumpkins. And it's been a busy school day all morning and now I'm tired. Now I'm really tired, but that's okay. We're going to continue even though I am not at my most focused. I want to talk a little bit about Morning Basket. Morning Basket has been great. We love Morning Basket. It is like the gift. It is the gift. If we do nothing else in a day, we're doing Morning Basket. And so I want to say the one thing that we have not loved is this particular set of the What Do I Do? These are really hit or miss. The manners cards, fabulous. The health and safety cards, fabulous. I would say only half of these have been very good. They are either repeats almost exactly of a manners card, just with different characters, or they're kind of not necessary because there's a lot of classroom manners and then like weird things about being at a party and what do you do at a party if you're bored. You try to engage people in conversation and you don't complain because that will make the host feel bad. And I'm not saying that's not something worth talking about, but I don't know that I agree with it. And I don't know that these are as good as the other two. I do still want to get the How Am I Feeling cards that are all about dealing with emotional, like SEL, like the emotional, your feelings or dealing with other people's feelings. But I don't know that I would necessarily say these are the best. I still think the manners cards and the health and safety are worth your investment. This set is hit or miss. We may not come back to these. This might be a one-time rotation. We're going to finish them. We're about halfway through these cards. So we're going to finish these definitely by, I would say, the first week of November. We'll probably knock these out. And then I don't know what will be next for our social emotional learning. We have some books we could read. I could order the How Am I Feeling cards, which I might do. We will see. We will see. But having these is so nice. Let me just say this. Having something like this where it is a card, I'll just show you right here. So having, this little card, if a player makes a mistake, don't make a player feel bad about a mistake, which is great. Like this is super great for these early years. Love this. And doing 3, 4, 5 of these that is all discussion based and it's not a piece of paper. It's not any writing. It's not a book. It's just a discussion, a prompt and a discussion is super nice after we've done our Bible narration or our inspiring person narration or our nature narration or whatever we've done as a part of after our grammar. Like it's just a really nice change of pace. And so having these in particular as little cards is a nice flavor change. So I'm reluctant to get rid of using a conversation card of some kind because I like how they break up our narration heavy Morning Basket. So don't love this pack as much, still okay, but not as great as the other two. So it's fine. It's moving along. It's trucking. Overall, grammar's going great. We are loving first language lessons. It's such a good foundation. It's so gentle. It is a little bit repetitive and we just skip the repetition. Once my kids really feel like they know stuff, we just skip repetition and move on. So we are like on lesson 30, I think, which is great. We're just going to keep trucking and we are loving it. No changes there. No changes really with Morning Basket. If we make a change, and I will do a whole video if it ends up working out, but we are looking at making a change and splitting Morning Basket into Morning Basket and Snack Basket and taking 1 or 2 things out of Morning Basket so that instead of being about 30 to 40 minutes, it's closer to 20 to 30 minutes. And then having a snack basket, which we're going to add something to and making that also 20 minutes and having 2 20-minute basket times where the intention is that you're moving through the stuff in the basket, not you're sitting down to a curriculum. And I think the mindset there might be useful. So if I decide to do that, I'll do an update video. But unless I do it and I like it, I'm not going to waste your time. Just letting you know that could be a slight change, but it will still be the same stuff. I'll let you know if it works out. If it works out, I'll do a whole video. If it doesn't work out, then you will know in the November wrap up because I won't have mentioned it, right? I won't have mentioned it again. It will have been a failed idea. We dropped Spanish completely this month. We did not do any Spanish at all. I just was too frustrated. But the girls requested it, and I do really, really want them to take advantage of this young years where their brains are most capable of absorbing it. So what I'm going to do is put together flashcards. I've already picked out 5 foods and the colors and what was the other thing? Oh, some phrases. And we're just going to practice these phrases, things like I need, so necesito, and then there's 5 foods. And we're going to practice saying I need water. Por favor, I need water, please. Things like that. And we're just going to start practicing that. And that's going to be our basis for our Spanish right now. We're going to practice like a handful of phrases, literally the most common, most simple phrases. And then we're going to start building vocabulary. And that's all. That's all we're going to do right now. That's all I have the time for. That's all I have the mental energy for. I will look at Yamitas over Christmas break and see what I can adapt. I will look at some other things. I saw on here from, I think it's Homeschooling Intentionally, that she is using TalkBox and really loves it for German, but I want to see her review the whole thing first. There's some other curriculum that I am looking at, and if I buy one curriculum, I may buy another from the same company. So let me just tell you this. I have been considering adding in the American history stream back. And here's what it was. Okay, let me talk this out real fast. If you are not interested in this, I understand. Peace be with you. That's the update for October is that things went well. This is me planning ahead for November and talking it out with you and getting your feedback. So if you need to peace out, I love you. Goodbye. Have a wonderful time. The rest of you who are staying, if you're staying, put a pumpkin so I know that you're staying. So I saw Ashley at Crazy Brave Homeschool talk about choosing the Alveary for history. Now, the Alveary is something I looked at and dismissed because it is very Christian, and I thought, I'm not dealing with any of that. It's also expensive. Why would I choose them when Ambleside is free? They can't be better. But I've gone back and I've watched all the videos they have of book choices for the last 3 years, and I've read the samples, and I watched Ashley's video, and I really like their approach to living books and trying to get as many materials as possible written by the person from the community of which you are studying. Their philosophy is that your first grade, your grade 1 learners always do Indigenous American studies, no matter where they are in their rotation, which I don't like their whole rotation system, but no matter where they are, they do a whole year. Your very first year of school, of formal schooling, is studying Native Americans. And I love that, actually. I think that that is super appropriate because we need to study the people who were here before colonization, because they were here for far longer than colonists have ever been here, right? And starting your study with an immersive understanding of the people whose land you are on is hugely important. And the fact that this right-leaning Christian curriculum still has that profound insight and has said verbally in multiple different videos about how they choose their books that they want to make sure all of their literature is humanizing. And that is one of the drawbacks of the books written in the time period of Charlotte Mason, is that they did dehumanize people because they really did believe that white people were better, which is nonsensical, right? We know it's nonsensical, I hope, but they didn't right back then. And so one of the reasons they choose updated books and how they choose updated books is, does the material either come from a person of the community that they are writing about, or is it written by a person from outside the community with a very humanizing lens? And that was really profound for me and made me very excited about the curriculum. Unfortunately, to buy the curriculum, you have to buy history, Bible, and literature. And I will not be using the Bible material. I will not be using the literature material because the literature material is super Christian. But it's not an outrageous amount compared to other curriculums, even if I'm going to ignore 50% of what I'm getting. So I am considering, I have not bought it. I have not pulled the trigger. I'm sitting on it. I'm making sure this isn't just FOMO. I am considering that starting this month of November to buy the Native American grade 1 year-long study. It's only 1 lesson a week, so we will definitely be able to get through most of it, especially if we start in this end of this semester, because it will be a couple of weeks in the spring where we won't have co-op or our nature school, so we'll be able to do 2 lessons a week there, and that will allow us to stay pretty on course. We'll be able to do roughly 1 lesson a week to understand the Native Americans that are here, to have that be one history stream that's very gentle, but a very good foundation of the Indigenous communities and their the stories they told themselves that we can then listen to as the folk stories are handing down to us. And I really like that. That gives us space then to have 1 to 2 days a week of our ancient history unit study without it getting boring by being 3 days a week, which is what the girls reflected back to me, was 2 days a week is like what we want for unit study, not 3 days a week. And so my thoughts, and this is just thoughts, y'all, I have not purchased anything, okay? My thoughts are, do the Alveary grade 1 study over the course of the rest of this year, 1, maybe 2 days a week, and just enjoy it. Just treat it gently, treat it loosely, treat it joyfully. Then continue with our planned ancient history unit studies of ancient Greece, right? That's a really big one. Ancient China, ancient India, and we'll end with ancient Rome, right? So just 6. So 3 each semester, theoretically, although Greece might spill over. And then we will have a bird's eye view of ancient history. We will have a bird's eye view of pre-Christopher Columbus, pre-discovery of North America. And that will allow me the choice of either doing Middle Ages next year with my 2nd graders, or doing another rotation with the Alveary, which I might want to do because I really like the books they've picked. And because it's only once a week, there is so much room for me to add in things that I feel like might be needed to supplement. So it gives me a frame, but it has breathing room for me to add. And because I don't want to do the whole program, because I'm not interested in buying their membership, because I'm not interested in having all of that, I could just buy the history curriculum and use the history curriculum for the rotation that I want to use on my kind of schedule. And then I can say, okay, if we're talking about, for example, the Vikings, I can add things into that unit because it's a part of our history unit. If I want us to slow down and spend a little bit more time on the discovery, Columbus's discovery of the New World, and read the traditional story of how it's told, but then read something like Jane Yolen's, I think it's Columbus or Conquest or something like that. Encounter maybe is the name of it. Contact. It's something, it's like one single word, but it's a really harrowing picture book that's challenging. We would get to that by like next spring, like spring of their 2nd grade year. And we could do like a whole week of reading the kind of classical way we talk about it, and then reading that, and then discussing the differences and why it is we tell ourselves this happier narrative when the real narrative is harder, and like what's happening there. Why do we tell ourselves a softer narrative? And how can we hold both the mythology version of America, right, the myth we tell ourselves, with the reality, and integrate them together and move forward? Because I think that that's the piece. We're not doing the integration piece, right? Some people just want to tell you the raw, hard, awful versions of things, and some people want to tell you the pretty whitewashed versions. And the lived reality that we come to is often an amalgamation of the two, right? And that's kind of where I want to go with history. So anyways, this was a very philosophical, but I'm thinking of doing that. The only thing is I'm afraid I'm going to overwhelm myself, and then I'm going to have a fairly expensive curriculum. It'll be about $70 for the history curriculum, because I'm not using Bible and literature, so I'm not even using the whole curriculum. It'll be about $70, and that's a lot. I'm not sure how I wanted to do with that. I did just buy 4 actually, but they were buy one get one of the literature singles from Brave Writer. They were doing a BOGO sale, and I got 2 quill and 2 dart, which I would like to integrate at least the quills this year. So there's one on rocks, which my daughter absolutely loves. So that's going to be a part of integrating into this like snack basket. We'll be doing the rock readings as our like nature readings, and then one on space, which we have the Little Hearts Little Hands space unit. So I was thinking we could do that in the spring as like one of our spring science nature readings as well. And then I got Paddington Bear and Charlotte's Web, which if we do this year, great. If we don't do this year, I think they'd be fine for 2nd grade too. So at any rate, this got more than October, more of an October wrap up, more philosophical, but I'm thinking about doing that. Doing 2 days a week of our ancient history, 1 day a week of Native American history, And then really, aside from wanting to spend some time in ancient Greece, I mean, 3 ancient societies over 5 months is going to be plenty of time for us to do it even just one day a week if we need to. So I don't know. FOMO, is it just FOMO, or is it going, you have been concerned about not doing enough American history? Is that legit, or is that just you not wanting to miss out on stuff? I don't know. I would love your thoughts. Comment down below. Let me know. Am I crazy? Am I doing too much? Am I being overambitious again? Talk me down if you think I need to be talked down, or if you think it's a great idea, let me know. Drop a pumpkin if you're still here. How was your October? I hope it was wonderful. I hope you had all the wins. I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry that I'm super scattered. I'm gonna go do a few more things before the kids get home. But y'all, until the next video, bye.